Two tea bowls sit side by side. The first is flawless. Even walls, even glaze, not a mark on it anywhere. The second was dropped, once, a long time ago. It broke into 5 pieces. Someone gathered them up, rejoined them with lacquer, and then traced every seam in gold, so that the damage is now the most visible thing about it. A bright river running across dark clay. In Japan, the second bowl can be the more valuable of the two. Not in spite of the break. Because of it. To most of the world, that is close to nonsense. Damage lowers worth. A crack is a defect, and a defect is a discount. Japan spent roughly 1,000 years arriving at a different answer. The name we give that answer, in English, is Wabi-Sabi. And almost everything you have heard about it is slightly wrong. Start with the words, because the words give the game away. Wabi comes from an old verb meaning to be wretched, to pine, to languish, to suffer a lack. The related adjective, wabishi, still means miserable, forlorn, faintly pathetic. It described a man living alone in the mountains with nothing, and it was not a compliment. Sabi comes from sabishi, lonely, desolate. Its written character carries stillness and quiet, and the same sound in Japanese also names rust, the patina that time leaves on the surface of things. So, poverty and decay, loneliness and rust. These are the two words that an entire aesthetic is built from. At some point, Japan took 2 words for things nobody wants and turned them into words for things people would spend a fortune to own. That reversal is the story. The trail starts in Kyoto, more than 1,000 years ago. For roughly 4 centuries, a small aristocracy lived inside the Heian court, writing poems, blending incense, and paying extraordinarily close attention to the weather. Out of that hothouse came a particular way of feeling. Much later, the Edo period scholar Motori Norinaga gave it a name, mono no aware, usually translated as the pathos of things or a sensitivity to things passing. Its emblem is the cherry blossom. Not because it is beautiful, exactly. Plenty of flowers are beautiful. Because it falls. The court did not admire the blossom at its peak so much as the blossom about to go, and the petals already on the ground. In the poems of that era, beauty and loss are not 2 separate experiences. They arrive together, in the same breath. That is the seed. Everything after it grows from there. Then the world got harder. By the 12th century, the court was losing power to warriors. The capital burned periodically, and a literature of impermanence took hold. In 1191, a monk named Eisai returned from China and began teaching Zen. Dogen followed a generation later. Zen did not invent Japanese taste. It sharpened it. It gave that older court melancholy a discipline and a set of tools. You can see the tools in Muromachi ink painting. A mountain, a boat, and then 2/3 of the paper left completely blank. The emptiness is not unfinished. It is the subject. The viewer is expected to do part of the work. The same instinct runs through the dry gardens we looked at earlier in this series. Rake the gravel. Set 15 stones so that one is always hidden from wherever you sit. Withhold something, deliberately. The first person to turn all of this into an actual practice, by tradition, was a monk named Murata Shuko, who died in 1502. In his day, the height of taste in tea was Karamano, Chinese objects. Celadone, dark Temeka bowls, lacquer. All of it flawless, all of it imported, all of it expensive. Wealthy men competed at tea gatherings roughly the way people now compete with cars. Shuko, the tradition says, began using Japanese pieces instead. Rougher clay, local kills, things that would have looked like failures beside the Chinese wares. A line handed down in his name says he disliked a moon with no clouds around it. Another compares the ideal to a fine horse tethered outside a thatched hut. Both say the same thing. Perfection has nowhere left to go. Set something splendid in a poor room, and the tension makes it alive. 2 generations later, the practice had its master. Sun no Rikyu, born in 1522, took wabi tea to a place it has never really left. He served as tea master to the 2 most powerful men in Japan, and what he did with that position was subtract. He shrank the tea room to 2 mats, about the footprint of a small bathroom. He kept the entrance at Nijiraguchi size, a sliding hatch so low that every guest, including armed lords, had to leave the sword outside and crawl in on their knees. He commissioned bowls from a tile maker named Chojuro, shaped by hand rather than thrown on a wheel, dark and slightly lopsided. That became rakuware. The story goes that when the ruler came to see his famous morning glories, Rikyu cut every flower in the garden but one and put it in the alcove. The relationship did not end well. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the peasant-born ruler who unified Japan, kept Rikyu at his side and at the same time had a portable tea room built that was covered inside and out in gold. Gold walls, gold utensils, gold ceiling. He assembled it at the Imperial Palace in 1586. Historians still argue about what that meant. It may have been rivalry with his tea master. It may have been a separate register of tea altogether, splendor for public occasions and austerity for private ones. Both men appear to have used both. In 1591, Hideyoshi ordered Rikyu to kill himself, and Rikyu, aged 70, performed seppuku. Why is genuinely unknown. The traditional accounts offer a statue set above a temple gate, or profiteering in tea utensils, or politics. What is certain is only the shape of it. A ruler could not command a man's taste, so he ended the man. Now the gold comes back, differently. Kintsugi means golden joinery. A broken bowl is neither discarded nor disguised. The pieces are rejoined with urushi, Japanese lacquer, and the seams are then dusted with powdered gold, silver, or platinum, so that the repair becomes the brightest line on the object. The origin usually told is a story. A shogun, Ashikaga Yoshimasa, is said to have sent a favorite Chinese bowl back to China for repair in the 15th century and received it stapled with ugly metal cramps, which pushed Japanese craftsmen to find something better. Treat that as legend. What is documented is the practice itself, flourishing from around the 16th and 17th centuries, when tea culture already prized the imperfect. The logic is the part that matters. The bowl did not lose its history when it broke. It acquired one. So you write that history on the outside, in gold. Which raises a practical question. If a bowl is deliberately imperfect, how does anyone tell a good one from a bad one? Tea people have a vocabulary for this. A bowl is turned slowly in both hands and read almost like terrain, and the word they use for what they are reading, kashiki, means scenery. You look for asymmetry that feels intended rather than careless. For the way the glaze pooled and stopped, thick here, thin there, decided by gravity and heat rather than by the potter. For the foot, where the clay is left bare and the maker's tool marks still show. For the small accidents of the kiln, a blush of color, a crawl in the glaze, that will never occur again in quite that arrangement. Not any flaw will do. The flaw has to have happened honestly. The same taste runs through poetry. Matsuo Basho, in the late 1600s, wrote what became the most famous 17 syllables in the language. An old pond. A frog jumps in. The sound of water. Nothing happens. That is the achievement. No moral, no metaphor, no beautiful object. A stagnant pond, a plain animal, and one small noise that makes the silence around it audible. Another, on a bare branch, a crow has settled. Autumn dusk. Basho's disciples used the word sabi for the quality in verse like this. Not sadness, exactly. Closer to the feeling of an old thing standing alone and being completely itself. Loneliness, in this tradition, is not a problem to be solved. Handled correctly, it becomes a kind of depth, and the poet's job is mostly to get out of its way. Architecture absorbed it too. The tokonoma, the shallow alcove in a traditional room, holds one hanging scroll and one flower arrangement and nothing else. It is the focal point of the room, and it is almost empty. Part of its purpose is to make everything around it emptier. Builders left cypress unpainted so the grain would show and the wood would silver with age. Paper screens were made to be replaced. Tatami wears and yellows and is expected to. And at ISC, which we visited earlier in this series, the shrine is dismantled and rebuilt on the adjacent plot every 20 years. The 62nd rebuilding was completed in 2013. The next is due in 2033. Nothing there is meant to last. What lasts is the act of rebuilding. Impermanence is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. In the 20th century, the philosopher Hisamatsu Shinichi tried to set down what all of this had in common and listed 7 characteristics. 3 of them will get you most of the way. Kanso, simplicity, not emptiness for its own sake, but the removal of anything that is not doing work. Every element earns its place or it goes. Fukinsei, asymmetry, nothing centered, nothing matched, nothing in even numbers. Perfect balance closes an image down. Imbalance keeps the eye moving and leaves room for the person looking. Shurzen, naturalness, not wilderness and not the untouched. Japanese gardens are heavily constructed. Shurzen means the construction has been hidden well enough that the result looks inevitable, as though it simply grew that way. Simple, uneven, unforced. That is the grammar of the whole thing. For a long time, this remained elite taste. A tea gathering was expensive to hold and required teachers, and through the Edo period, which began in 1603, tea organized itself into schools with hereditary headmasters and formal licenses. The rough bowl had become a curriculum, but something else was happening underneath. 2.5 centuries of peace produced an enormous merchant class and an enormous quantity of ordinary objects. Iron kettles, indigo cloth, paper umbrellas, wooden buckets, plain stoneware made in the thousands. None of it was made to be admired. It was made to be cheap and to work, made by hand, in quantity, by people whose names nobody bothered to record. It came out slightly irregular, and it wore beautifully. Nobody at the time called that art. It took until the 20th century for someone to say it out loud. That someone was Yanagi Sotsu. In the mid-1920s, Yanagi, together with the potters Hamada Shoji and Kawai Kanjuro, coined the word minge, folk craft, and began arguing something close to heresy. The highest beauty, he said, was not in signed masterpieces by celebrated artists. It was in the anonymous, repetitive, useful work of the unknown craftsman. His reasoning was almost Buddhist. A maker who repeats the same bowl 10,000 times stops making decisions about it. The ego drops out. What is left is the material, the hand, and the use. He collected obsessively, and in 1936 opened the Japan Folk Crafts Museum in Tokyo, where you can still see the result. Kitchen jars and workmen's coats displayed with the seriousness normally reserved for painting. Wabi-Sabi had come down out of the tea room and back into the kitchen. The West arrived late and enthusiastically. Daisetz Suzuki had introduced English readers to Zen and Japanese taste decades earlier. But the word itself traveled in 1994 when Leonard Koren published a slim book called Wabi-Sabi for artists, designers, poets, and philosophers, written partly out of frustration with a modern design world he found too polished and too perfect. The book worked, possibly too well. Within 20 years, Wabi-Sabi was a category on furniture sites, a paint color, a way of selling a distressed oak table for a great deal of money. Something does get lost in that translation. In the original, the roughness is a consequence. The bowl is uneven because a man shaped it by hand, and the kiln did what kilns do. In rustic chic, the roughness is a finish applied deliberately, at the end, to something manufactured smooth. One is honest, the other is costume. So it is worth saying plainly what Wabi-Sabi is not. It is not shabbiness. A cracked plastic bowl is not wabi. Neglect produces damage, not patina, and the tradition is strict about the difference. Something has to be well made and well used before time can improve it. It is not minimalism as a style. Minimalism tends toward the clean, the machined, the white, and the exact. Wabi-Sabi runs closer to the opposite. Warm, irregular, textured, a little dark. And it is not a mood for a spa or a smooth stone in a bowl of water beside a reception desk. Earlier in this series, we watched Zen gardens get flattened into decoration. This is the same flattening in a different room. The look survives the journey. The claim it makes about time does not. Underneath the objects there is an argument, and it is a plain one. English writing on the subject usually condenses it to 3 lines. Nothing lasts. Nothing is finished. Nothing is perfect. Every one of those is obviously true, and you already knew all 3. The bowl will break. The house will need rebuilding. The body will age. The work will never be quite done. Most cultures treat these as problems, and organize enormous effort around the denial of them. Preserve, restore, retouch, complete, replace. The Wabi-Sabi position is not resignation, and it is not sadness. It is that these three facts are the conditions that make beauty possible in the first place. A flower moves us because it is going. A face is interesting because it has been lived in. Take the impermanence out, and you do not get a better thing. You get a thing nobody would look at twice. Which makes this, in the end, a practice of attention rather than a shopping list. You cannot buy Wabi-Sabi because it is not a property of objects. It is what happens when a particular kind of looking meets an object that has honestly been through something. The chipped mug you keep using anyway. The wooden step worn into a dip by 40 years of feet. The cast iron pan that has gone black. The garden wall with moss in the joints. A friend's face, 10 years on. None of that needs improving. It needs noticing, which is harder, because the culture most of us live inside is very good at pointing our attention at whatever is newest and least marked. Try it in reverse for a day. Find the thing in your home that has aged best, and ask what it went through to get there. 2 bowls, then. The flawless one, and the one with a gold river running across it. There is a version of a culture that hides its cracks, fills them with something the same color, and hopes nobody looks too closely. And there is a version that fills them with gold, sets the bowl on a shelf at eye level, and lets the break be the first thing anybody sees. Japan chose the second one, slowly, across 1,000 years. From Heian poets watching petals fall, to a tea master ordering a rough bowl from a tile maker, to a museum full of anonymous kitchen jars. We are working through this tradition one episode at a time, so if you want the rest of it, consider subscribing. The break is not the end of the bowl. It is the part of the bowl that has something to say. Next time, the monsters that guard Japan's nights. Shape-shifting foxes, one-eyed umbrellas, faceless women on empty roads, and the 1,000 strange beings gathered under a single word, yokai. Who they are, where they came from, and why Japan never quite stopped believing in them. Until then, find the oldest thing you own and look at it properly.